Okay, let's get started. I think Kim had something of an agenda that she wanted to follow. You can't hear anything?
I can now that you sent the mic and I grabbed it, but prior to that, it was dead space.
Really? Mary Ballard, can you hear anything? Thumbs up. Michael, can you hear anything? Okay.
We might need to like reboot it.
Mike, can you hear anything?
I can hear you, Chris.
Kelly. So you just can't hear me then. So
I can hear American Mission is speaking right now, right?
Yeah, but you couldn't hear me before.
I can hear Chris.
I could hear everything now. I'm just saying when I first came in, I couldn't hear anything.
Okay.
Maybe you're deaf.
Well, Noah was talking right away. It was just quiet. It was silence when we first started. Chris had no music for us.
I was talking, but whatever. I think
I'm up here now, finally. I could not hear you before.
Do you have an agenda?
I do have an agenda.
Fine.
I wasn't the only one. Kim couldn't hear you either.
No, I could not hear you.
Could you see me?
I could see you there. I just couldn't hear you.
Same. I had to go shut down my app and then, yes, I had to go shut down my app and then come back in.
Spaces are so glitchy.
X is glitchy.
They don't like me.
Has anybody gotten a super secret chat working yet?
What?
What? There's some new chat feature that's supposed to be like encoded, not encoded, encrypted. But the thing is, when you go in there, you can't send a message to anybody and nobody can send anything to you. It's just a tease.
I definitely did not have Mike Myers as an actual spy on my bingo card.
Wait, what?
Who's Michael Myers?
Wait, who's the spy?
Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, was apparently a documentary.
What are you on? Okay, what's going on here?
I'm on cannabis, but that has nothing to do with this, madam.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I do have power, but I'm distracted, Pepe. So be on your best behavior.
I'm being dead serious. I'm not trolling. Mike Myers was a CIA asset.
Okay, receipts.
I'm so excited I walked in at this very moment because Pepe, you have my heart. Okay, can we please talk about how Mike Myers, Austin Powers, is a CIA spy?
Right, I totally didn't have.
It came out in Diddy testimony today that freaking Austin Powers, Mike Myers, is a like an agent of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Stop it.
Swear.
No, seriously.
Like dead ass. Like he is literally a CIA agent and it came out in freaking Diddy testimony.
Under oath, right?
Under oath, baby.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize
baby.
that.
Yeah.
I
So-
didn't realize that Comey's
so-
daughter was actually doing the prosecution.
The Diddy
Oh,
trial
yeah.
is a burn notice for Mike Meyer.
No, the Diddy trial is a bird notice for a lot of people. Okay. Like I said, the fact that everyone is not talking about what is being said in the Diddy trial just shows me that they don't want us talking about it, because the names that are mentioned, the things that are being talked about are absolutely mind blowing, that the American people are not like, huh? Right. And what they're trying to say, like, is, oh, yeah, you know, like, it might be disgusting what he did, but is it illegal? And they're going to let him off on it. Watch. Diddy is going to walk.
Oh yeah, they're setting us up for that for sure.
I'm pretty
In the way
sure,
that he's prosecuting it.
Yeah, but still pretty sure that even just videotaping minors being raped is illegal. So I don't think he's walking.
Yeah, but they can't use any of that footage. They can only use the footage from what's her face's phone. They can't use any of the tapes that they've confiscated, because that's not what they're charging him with.
And isn't this in New York?
Well, no, see, and this is the fucked up thing about the justice system, that, like, not even when we have lawyers in space will they talk about, right? And then they try to shut me up when I talk about it. But you don't get to defend yourself properly, right? And even when I was answering questions, like for the J6 committee, right? They were like, Jen, it doesn't matter what you know today, right? You have to answer all of those questions as if you were Jen Lawrence back when this happened. And the knowledge that you had at that moment, not even what you know today. Right, so you can't go in there with hindsight 2020. You have to go in there and talk about, like, oh yeah, well, you know, I learned about Norm Eisen afterwards. Can't really bring that up because I didn't know about it at the time. Like that kind of bullshit.
This is the kind of stuff that makes people go, okay, I don't trust the justice system. ... And then you start talking about things like militias and whatnot. You know, this is, and Jen, to your point, these institutions would, if they wanted to restore that trust, they'd be trying to fix themselves. They'd be doing what they could to fix themselves, but they're not. It's almost as if some puppet master or a Dr. Evil, which I don't think there is one, but it's almost like somebody wants to sow distrust to make us do another J6, so they can throw us all in jail.
Yeah, but okay, so you have the Diddy trial going on, but then Sean Ryan interviewed the Bush lady, and what that bitch said, whoa. She's talking about Mr. Global. Okay, Mr. Global, whoever the hell Mr. Global is, right? And apparently no one at the White House can figure out who Mr. Global actually is. He's the one calling the shots, whoever Mr. Global is. And then she started talking about interdimensional beings and all this other shit that apparently, like, is just normal everyday knowledge.
Look, she was on Tucker too before she was on Sean Ryan, so she's been making the rounds.
What's her name?
But she calls the cabal, or the global list. She calls them just Mr. Global. That's her like tag name for them.
What's her name, Kim?
I forget. She's got glasses. She's an older lady.
Myers, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah. I'm never not doing Mike Myers now, guys. Sorry.
That definitely was not on my bingo card. I wonder if the spy who shagged me has a different meaning to Diddy.
How to get like lawyers to like lawyer correctly and make sure that we're not getting this whole song and dance, because we know that Norm Eisen's got everything. He is made sure that he has covered his ass in every direction. So we've got to find somebody smarter than Norm Eisen to freaking go after him.
Jen, I missed what you said when a minute ago. It came out in the Diddy trial that who was a CIA asset?
Mike Myers, Austin Powers.
Oh wow, dang!
Your
Like-
receipts in the nest.
Like the actual guy. Now think about all the other movies he's been in, okay? And
Shrek,
now think of predictive programming.
Shrek, right? This is the Mike Myers who played who played Shrek, right?
Right, because think about it. Anytime, even if it's totally inappropriate, how many times do people reference movies in normal conversation?
Like we just did.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
The Love Guru was my personal favorite of Mike Myers. Well, second to only Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Oh, dude. It is kind of wild though that you got all that stuff going on. You got the Diddy trial going on. You got stuff in DC, guys. You've also got the Scott Shara civil case going on this week in Wisconsin as well. I don't know if anyone in here is following that, but I'm gonna a couple hours from now. Hopefully we're gonna get an update. Actually, I take that back. Mick Meow had a couple of folks on her show who were giving an update from the Shara trial. I'll put that in the bubble. I'm not going to put it up in the nest though.
So Jen, was that on your bingo card that International Man of Mystery was actually a documentary?
Sorry, I'm in the middle of cleaning a litter box. So if you hear water, I'm not peeing like Vivek, okay? I'm over here just trying to wash the litter box. Okay, anyways. So, no, it was not on my bingo card. And like, since when did everything have to be on a damn bingo card? Okay, why do we have to play bingo, guys?
You got to make the apocalypse fun. It's been like that
Well,
since
they
2020.
have dance cards, you know.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we America Mission bingo card. What do we have?
Already made that.
I was gonna say, someone write that down and let's make it.
So I wonder if animals could be CIA assets.
I don't believe that Trash Panda works for the CIA. I believe it's a different one, but I'm not saying, and I don't know. I
wasn't talking about Trash Panda. I was talking about animal movie stars like Lassie.
Oh, dude.
Benji? Mr.
Flipper the
Ed?
dolphin.
Yes, of course, unless the horse's name is Mr. Ed. Yes. But you look at everyone who is a known CIA assets. You can also look at everything else the CIA's been involved in. Not to mention the CIA connection between, like, who is it? J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, and that. So, yeah.
Flipper.
Do what?
Flipper. Is a cover operator.
I was thinking about the orangutan in Any Which Way But Loose.
He works for us.
Flipper's not even the biggest dolphin. The biggest dolphin was Shamu.
Shamu was a whale.
Shamu was a dolphin, sir.
He was a orca.
Yeah.
An orca is a what, ma'am?
It's a killer whale.
Killer whale, yes.
An orca is a dolphin. Look it up.
Definitely not.
You'd be surprised how wrong you are.
Well, they have porpoises and they have dolphins. And if you've ever been fishing in the Gulf of Mexico, you know what the difference is. And a dolphin is an ugly ass fish.
Dolphin's not a fish; it's a
What
mammal.
the fuck did you just say about dolphins?
A dolphin is an ugly ass fish. A porpoise is a mammal that's cute and cuddly.
He likes manatees and not mermaids. I can tell already.
Okay, it
Now
says,
I'm making you go on the dolphin tour when you get here, Mr. Philby.
it says
Do
orca
you all
is in the dolphin family. I just asked Grok.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember? Well,
Is
when you
everybody
said
broken? Is no one speaking?
manatees, all I
Wow,
could think
guys.
was oh no,
Hey.
we lost Kim.
Wow.
But whenever you said manatees, all I could think was
Do I just not hear anybody? Like, what the fuck?
Oh, Jen
I
has
hear you, Jen.
audio
You need-
issues.
Okay, I guess I just don't hear anybody.
Hi, Jen.
need to drop Jen and bring her back. But all I could think when Pepe I think said manatees was that Geico ad where they had manatees and novelty teas. That's surprising.
Buttigieg is not a manatee.
Oh, I see what you did there.
He's definitely not a mermaid either.
So, has anybody seen the clip that's been playing in the American Mission feed all day?
I have not seen the clip. I don't think.
You guys posted something about the bit. Oh yeah, it's pinned. You're talking about the pinned post, Mr. Philby?
I like it.
Yeah, that we
Yes.
are watching, we are taking notes, and we are making moves.
Okay, what's going on with Elon's post about the bill?
So we were just talking about this in the Triple R earlier. That's basically a signal to everyone else that and I've said this before. Trump cannot afford to get on the wrong side of Elon Musk. So if Elon Musk is coming out against the big beautiful bill, that's a signal that this thing's probably gonna need to be rewritten, or stuff's gonna need to be taken out, or things of that nature. Because Trump can't afford to get on the wrong side of Elon Musk here.
Well, I want to know why Elon is coming against. Like, what
Okay,
is his
screw Elon
problem?
Musk. Okay, not really.
Yeah. Trump,
But, like,
Trump doesn't
can I-
even worry about that.
The problem is, okay, the absolute fact that they came out and laughed in our faces and said, we're not going to do the Doge cuts. And then just continue to fund the sex change of fruit flies and everything else in all these countries with our money. Really? Are we
Yeah,
fed up with this?
That's why he's pissed, because he did all this work and they told him to stick it up his ass.
But
Right.
they can't put them in there. That's the thing. They can't put them in this bill because this is a reconciliation bill.
I
It cuts-
understand that.
I do too.
But they can the spending levels can still be reduced. And that's what he's complaining about, is there's $2.5 trillion in there that don't belong.
So who put that in there?
Correct. Since COVID, we're still continuing the same budget of Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, we need the 2019 spending levels.
And not to mention, there's also climate change stuff in there. We don't want that. And there's also
why
Democrats
is this
voted for it.
who put this stuff in there? Because I know Trump didn't put that in there. Like, what happened to
You-
this
you
big,
have-
beautiful bill?
You need 218 votes, and everybody has their own Christmas tree ornament that they want to hang on a tree.
Mhm.
Kim, let me explain a little bit. So this is a reconciliation of the currently passed budget, which is a continuation of all these big omnibus things that have been going every year. So everything from Biden, like what were those big bills he passed right in the beginning? The
CHIPS Act,
the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
It was, that's all that stuff is climate shit. All that stuff's still in the budget.
So this was a reconciliation bill. So this is not one big, beautiful bill.
That's what they're calling it, but it is a reconciliation bill.
So what a reconciliation bill to me means that you're going to go in and you're going to trim and you're going to reappropriate funds. Is that not what this should be doing?
This is reconciling the mandatory spending of the current budget.
Is that what's in
Appropriations
HR1,
is where
Michael?
appropriations bills are where we actually address spending, but there are a lot of mandatory spending thing or in the current budget that we can get rid of.
The only thing that's mandatory is interest on the debt, Social Security, Medicare, and
Defense.
no, not even defense. Defense isn't mandatory.
Defense ain't. So sorry, I was
The
agreeing with Mr. Fieldy.
entitlements and interest on the debt are the only thing that's mandatory.
Don't call it entitlements.
That's what they are.
That's what they are.
Okay,
right.
what's the HR1 then? Okay, because
HR1 is the one big beautiful bill that they're just calling it
It's
the
one big
beautiful
ugly
bill.
fucking bill then.
okay, so that's where if you look in there, then all these statements are being made. I mean, I want to see in the bill where it's still got the garbage.
Everywhere, like all throughout it. But I mean, you got how many Democrats voting for it? So you got to figure out what
Not to mention,
what acquiescences they made to those leftists to get them to sign on to it. And then on top of that, you got also like, did we not all collectively learn from the quote unquote TikTok ban where they try to take all of your fucking rights and call it a TikTok ban? Like you gotta, the name doesn't always mean what it actually is. Come on.
And on top of that, I think the reason that Trump's not using his bully pulpit on this on Congress is because if Trump goes against him, if let's say Trump endorses a primary opponent against Trump, they can just retire. They can just retire, and then you've lost your majority, your already slim majority in the House, which it's past the House, but now we're looking at Senate. So if Trump goes against endorses John Cornyn's opponent, which I think is Ken Paxton, or any of these other guys, they can just say, "All right, we're retiring. We're going to reduce your majority." Then what? So there's a heck of a game being played here, and unfortunately it's not good. But that's what I think's going on here.
Well, they put through the recession, I'm saying it wrong, package today from the White House, which has some of the Doge cuts.
Yeah, that's a test. It's only $9 billion to see if they have the
Right.
appetite to even do a small amount. So they need to. Yeah.
So I put it into ChatGPT. So this is what it's got: tax cuts and economic incentives, extends and expands the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanently, eliminates taxes on tips and overtime pay, provides new deductions for American assembled vehicles and home mortgage interest, creates MAGA accounts, a tax-sheltered savings account with no federal tax on gains if spent on home ownership, education, or family care. Number 2 is social program reforms, imposes work requirements on able-bodied adults without dependents for Medicaid and SNAP, tightens eligibility verification, 6-month reviews, ends federal support for coverage of undocumented immigrants. 3, education overhaul, limits Pell Grant access to top-performing students, introduces workforce Pell Grants for trades and vocational programs, ends the Department of Education's oversight of gainful employment outcomes for colleges. 4, immigration and border security, allocates $70 billion to border security, including barriers, detention capacity, and thousands of new customs and border protection officers. 5, defense and national security, adds $150 billion to the Pentagon's budget, prioritizing advanced technologies like drones and hypersonics. 6, codifies executive orders, includes permanent legislation tied to executive actions like ending DEIA mandates in federal contracting, deregulating energy and environment sectors, creating the Department of Government Efficiency. where is the spending coming from? So projected funding sources and offsets, spending cuts to Medicaid and SNAP by tightening eligibility and introducing work requirements, rolling back clean energy tax credits, which save billions annually, department streamlining via DOGE, and reorganization efforts aimed at long-term bureaucratic cost reductions, expected economic growth from tax cuts and deregulation, projected to increase tax revenue. This assumption is contested by many economists. Increased defense appropriations and border spending are not fully offset, leading to criticisms that the bill will increase the deficit by as much as $4 trillion over 10 years, according to the Congressional Budget Office. So the criticisms and controversy. Critics say the bill favors the wealthy, undermines climate and education policy, and risks displacing millions from essential programs. These are the talking points that are bullshit. Several Senate Republicans are skeptical, especially about the long-term debt impact and cuts to social safety nets. Supporters argue it's about restoring accountability, empowering individuals, and revitalizing American productivity. So again, this bill is to codify some of this stuff. Like, that's what I don't understand. You guys are saying that this is going to continue at the same spending levels. There's no cuts. There's none of that. But that stuff is supposed to come in the appropriations bills. This bill is to get some of these executive orders codified. So where is the fat? That's what I want. Like, I want to know, where did they stick stuff in?
I don't think it's that they stuck stuff in. I think it's they haven't taken stuff out from the current budget.
Right.
But they can't do that there. I thought they couldn't do that in this thing.
There's certain things that are mandatory and certain things that aren't. I don't know what everything is, I'll be honest. I'll also concede, since the last time I spoke publicly about this, is that I do.
Yeah, they did it.
The CBO scoring is never right. So even what they're saying based on the CBO scoring, I don't know if I even believe it. And I've heard a lot more about that since I last talked about this.
Well, we'll go back to that in a minute. Hi, Alvin. Nice to see you. I'm triggered today, so I want to go whip
Hello
up on these.
there. I had to get to my mute.
Well,
Everybody, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. Well, we're sort of
Good.
triggered right now because this big, beautiful bill is not so
yeah.
beautiful, and all of it.
Depend-
It's just the same song and dance they always freaking do.
And frankly, Kim, it depends on whether you're trigger happy or trigger sad or trigger angry.
I feel like
Thanks for putting up on the blog there so quickly. I appreciate that. You guys are amazing. I always appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Or you have a horse named Trigger.
So what's going on with this dang school board? I went to my first school board meeting yesterday, and I actually spoke at it. So
Nice, very nice. Yeah,
how'd it
Jennifer
go?
Lawrence, I haven't seen you in so long. How you doing? It's been a while.
How'd it go, Kim?
I have an update. So I think a lot of you actually, I know a lot of you, thanks to a lot of you, actually, we've been fighting the school-based health clinic in Maine. Now they're all over the other. I mean, they're even in red state. So this isn't a blue state thing.
Can you hear me now, Alvin?
I can. Hi.
Oh, I've been talking to you. You just couldn't hear me. Sorry.
Oh,
nice
all
to see
good.
you.
Hey, nice to see you. Nice to see you. I hope you and Dustin are doing great. So we've been fighting these clinics, and thanks to a lot of you who dropped them a ton of email. I gotta tell you, up to this point, up to today, we've dropped this school board, one district now, not all of Maine, just one district. We've dropped them 11,000 emails. Just to put it in perspective, the entire state of Maine, every school board in Maine collectively has never gotten 11,000 emails from parents lighting them up on something because parents don't pay attention. So for one school district in a 5-month period to get this, it's unprecedented. In a school board member's career, they're sitting on a school board for 10 years or whatever, they may get a couple dozen emails from parents who aren't happy with what they're doing because they've got ways to gaslight the parents, give them a runaround, say, I'll look into it, never answer. And then they know that parents with young kids, life simply gets in the way. And that's what they depend on. And largely that's true. So I wanted to, first of all, set that tone to say thank you so much to all of you, whether you dropped an email or you shared it, because certainly we've been working really hard to set a precedent on these clinics. And just to set the stage there, the clinics in the schools can offer anything from depression medicine, ADD, ADHD medicine, COVID vax, yes, COVID vax, vaccines, all forms of birth control, invasive IUDs, abortion pills, and of course, transgender treatments, binders, tucking, cross-sex hormones, that type of thing. All without parental consent. All the child has to say is, I'm afraid to tell my parents. So this district, MSAD 11, has been punting this. They've been punting this vote for 6 months. They didn't want us to keep dropping them heat, so they kept punting it. Well, this Thursday, let me tell you how big of a cowards these people are. This Thursday is the last school board meeting of the year. So they try to bury this vote at the bottom of page 3 and the last school board meeting when parents are getting ready for the summer. They're planning their trips. They're getting kids ready to be out of school. You know, obviously there's a lot. It's kind of like when the school starts. There's a lot that goes on in a family's life. When school ends, the school year ends, there's also a lot that goes on in a family's life. There's, different summer camps. There's different, family vacations. Parents got to take time off work, all that kind of stuff. So they're burying it in this last board meeting to try to get the vote in. And the way this started was they tried to vote this in, for those of you who are our OGs, been following us, from this day one here. For those of you who are day ones, they try to vote this in on December 5th. You guys remember that? December 5th. They put this on the agenda on Thanksgiving Eve, 3 p.m. Thanksgiving Eve. They put this on the agenda. And one of the parents in Maine that we work with caught it. And then basically we just, courage is a habit. We changed our entire Thanksgiving plan and basically worked the entire Thanksgiving to ramp up our campaign against them because they were going to vote it in December 5th. And so they started by trying to hide it on Thanksgiving Eve, and they're trying to end it by putting it in the last school board meeting of the summertime. And so, we've pushed. I just got off a show from the Bongino Network literally like 10 minutes ago. And I guess it's 30 minutes ago now. So we've been putting a lot of heat on them. And so for those of you who want to, throw your hat in the ring and give them some heat, we made it super easy for you. If you click on my post on the Nest, there's a link. If you click that link, we have this form. You can either take our email as is and just it'll take you 10 seconds. Put your name in and hit send. If you want to write something, which we do encourage you to write something because we want your opinion in this email, then it might take you a minute. But in either case, if you can help us add to that 11,000, that would be great. And we would love nothing more than to stop this clinic this Thursday and get them to table it. If they table it, which is a good possibility, it's the same as it being dead, because they are going to have a much harder time next year because we already took one of their school board seats. We already flipped one of their seats because of this. And so we're going to flip another one in November. So the chances of them getting this clinic pass is going to get lower and lower if they table it this Thursday. But if it's even for those of you who are listening, you're like, well, that's Maine, it's California and things. Maine is actually a pretty red area. You don't think of it that way. When we ran our polling recently, most people are just normal, average, common sense Americans. It's just that there's a small amount of communists that's taken over their leadership. So even if you're not in Maine, we really ask and encourage you to help with this and help us set a precedent, because I promise you, it is in your state. It may not be in every district. I know it's not in every district, even if you're in a red state. But I'll give you an example. There's like 12 of these things or 15 of these things in West Virginia. West Virginia is a very, very red state, but there's like 12 or 15 of these things in West Virginia because parents don't know. Parents have no idea. They just get these things in, and then the way they sell it is, oh, if you're a single mom, wouldn't it be great if your child can go to the dentist on school grounds and you don't have to take time off work, you make more money, they don't have to miss school. Of course, if I sold it to you like that, everybody here on this space would go, well, yeah, that sounds great. That's actually wonderful if you're a single mom, single dad. And so only if you're really understanding what government is, do you go, that sounds good, but anytime the government does something we're supposed to do, it doesn't end up well. Let me dig into it a little bit more. But let's face it, right? A lot of people aren't like that. A lot of you guys are like that, but a lot of people aren't like that. So if we can stop this clinic here, it sets such a precedent and we can scale it. Courage is a habit. Every time we have a win or a loss, we try to do a deep dive and a lessons learned, and we create these things internally for our supporters, for our donors, for our partners, and we say, hey, we won here. I think this is why we won. We lost here. This is why we lost. And it's all about scaling. It's about scaling down the losses and about scaling up the wins. And so if we can stop this clinic, we can now have a model on how to stop this clinic everywhere. It's funny. I was just talking to Jen, like literally 5 minutes before I hopped on, and we were saying, like, God, this is how the opponents got it in. When they got one curriculum for critical race theory in, they said we can scale it. When they changed one discipline policy to restorative justice, they said, you know what? If we can get it into this little rural area in Oregon, we can get it everywhere. If we can get in this little city here in Indianapolis, we can get it anywhere. If we can get it into this little town here in Oklahoma, we can get it anywhere. But our side's so stupid. Our side goes, well, that's just California. It's got nothing to do with us. No, because if we can win in Maine, we can win everywhere. And so I really want us to have a more offensive, a more aggressive and offensive mindset to this. It's not just about a win in a little district in Maine. It's about creating a model that all parents group can follow and then be able to get these clinics out of there. Because I'll tell you, if they can start getting the clinics in there, then it's game over, right? Forget your opt-out forms, forget all the stuff that Courage as a Habit does. It doesn't matter. If they can make decisions for your children medically, if they can insert an IUD in your daughter at lunchtime, then that's it. That's it, right? That's it. This is the final frontier. They got your children's mind, they got their hearts, and now they're going to be able to make a medical decision. So we've gotten here because parents haven't taken action. And so if we can draw this hard line here and say no more, then I think we really have a good chance to reverse a lot of this that has been in K through 12. So thanks for having me come up. That's my update. And, we're going to continue to fight like hell. And we appreciate you guys so much, especially, you guys have a great place in our hearts, the AM team, for myself and Jen.
Alvin, I want to say I went to the link just now. It took me less than 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds.
Go, Michael. See, look at that. You did it.
So easy. Everybody should do it. It's so important. I also want to congratulate you. I caught you on Megyn Kelly's show and a couple of other. I think you were on the Bongino Report show.
Thanks,
so
man.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, no, they're great. They treat us really well and give us that platform. And we certainly don't take any of that for granted. Certainly nobody has to have us on. So thank you for watching.
I did one for me and I did one for my husband.
Hey now. That's what I'm talking about.
I've been given power of attorney for his email so I could sign him up for things.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night. And we'll keep you updated on Thursday night, okay?
Yes, thank you, Alvin. Appreciate you. And man, we just gotta keep knocking them back, I guess.
Hey, you know what? We're not getting tired. I promise you that. There's no fatigue here. I'll tell you that.
Well, it's funny that you say go on the offense because that's sort of our new kind of pivot that we're heading towards. So we are definitely going on the offense.
There you go. All right, everybody, have a good night, and we'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you.
Have a good night. What's up, Jason? Go ahead.
What do you think of the Palantir stuff?
Ooh, we're gonna get into that probably a little bit later, but I haven't really dove into it yet. I think that, we have this struggle between technologies and advancement and, evil deeds is really what it is.
Yeah, it's a problem. We need a digital Bill of Rights.
Yep. Yeah, we're definitely going to be working on that with, some of our friends and other groups because that is a must-have. But we've got to get something passed. To get anything passed, we've got to start passing something. It's like we got to be able to, like, I don't know, jump the shark or something.
I can't believe how few things we've passed with, majorities on both sides. It's crazy.
That's because they're not Republicans, like, or they're whatever they have what they're going to do, and they're going to do it. And they've been playing this game. They've been doing the same song and pony show. They got the good ones we think are good, and they, we're like, yes, these guys, they say things, it makes sense totally, and then something happens and they totally go the other way. Or they don't vote, they vote present, whatever. They are not genuine, and they don't give a crap about America.
Just something before I forget, what you should do with the Palantir is use the same imagery that we did in the Restrict Act.
Oh boy, Mr. Philby, get your bird out. Let's go. Hey, Jen.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I was obviously listening when Alvin was speaking. I'm not going to reiterate all of that, but I do want to thank everyone and just please encourage everyone to help us out. We appreciate you so much. But when I actually first came in, Kim, you were talking about the bill, the big, beautiful, or ugly bill. I don't know. So I didn't know if I don't know how much you wanted to cover that, but I had a little bit of an opinion on the education portion of it. And so if you were still going to continue with that, I just wanted to add a little bit to it.
Yeah, we definitely are going to continue with that. So if you want to add that, and then we'll go to Miss Positive. How about that?
Sure. Yeah. Or I can wait my turn if I don't want to.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
She just came up too. So
okay. Okay. All good. Thank you. So we have obviously been just super busy with what we're doing with education. So I have not had a lot of time to dig into this bill. I do want to know a couple things that I just want to put out there for people to, maybe look more into. But a couple of concerns with it, and I know people aren't going to want to hear this from me. But you know what? I'm just going to speak the truth. So it has a huge push for the school choice and vouchers. And look, whenever that is coming from the federal government, that's not giving power to the parents. It literally is just another honestly, it's, at its core, it's a welfare system, but people won't see it that way. And what's going to happen is if that goes through and people use this, whatever schools use it, they are at risk for whatever administration comes up next to be able to then control those schools. That means the private schools. So when you take government, I know we all say, it's our tax money, and it's just, I feel the same way in a lot of times. Like, I'm like, no, that's our tax money. But really, once the federal government takes it, unfortunately, in some sense, I'm probably going to get heat for saying this, it's their money. And when they're the ones distributing it back out, they have control over it. Then it can shift between what administration is in power. Why are they taking the money in the first place? Just stop taking it, cut off the ties. But I have a lot of concerns about that. And then the other thing that I was just going to say, again, I haven't had a ton of time to look into this, but I think, Kim, you might have mentioned this, that it does state that it bans the Secretary of Education from issuing rules based on gainful employment. From my understanding so far, and if I'm wrong, please, anybody can correct me, because I need to do more research on it. But I believe that's what's going to happen. But what they're not telling you is that power then is just being transferred to the Department of Labor. So the government will still control that. And what that means, as far as education goes, when you're talking about gainful employment, they will have the power to be evaluating the effectiveness of the academic programs within the school system. So when you hear college and career ready, they are giving guidelines out. They've always done it through the Department of Education, but they will now just do it through the Department of Labor instead, on how academic programs need to be ran in order to build academic
to make like good little workers, right? But see, here's
That's
my
exactly
thing.
right.
I feel like they have not been doing this because you got underwater basket weaving as a major, and we've got a lot of unproductive kids coming out of the colleges. So it does. I understand that you're moving it from the Department of Education to the Department of Labor, but it seems to me like it's not been done by anybody.
I understand what you're saying, but so they are actually providing guidelines to the colleges. What we're talking about here is K through 12, and they absolutely do that. The college and career ready academic course in K through 12 they do abide by the guidelines of the Department of Education, and this is why now the college and career ready path is eliminating things like testing, and it's more about how emotionally stable are you, how much will you comply, how obedient are you for the workforce. So when we're talking about the college level, that's a different area. What they're talking about is the guidelines to the K through 12 system, and that is how we've got where we're at with social emotional learning and everything like that. So all of that is going to be transferred to the Department of Labor, as far as I understand, but I'm happy to be corrected. So, but that's not going away, and that should be very concerning for people, because what they're doing right now in K through 12 is teaching children that it's not about what you know and how well you achieve in proficiency rates. It's about your emotions, and are you prepared for this new global order mindset for the workforce, where you're going to be compliant and obedient, and if you work in a place that isn't bowing down to the transgender or whatever it is, then you aren't prepared for a career in your life. So that is a huge concern.
Sorry, I was updating the title. Go ahead, Miss Positive, and then we'll get to Tam.
Thank you. That's great information, but I got something that is very important. So Stop Mom, who does a lot of research, if y'all don't know her, but she was speaking in Rodent Space, and I do subscribe to her. Palantir, the message is wrong. They are not storing your information. They're only a tool for companies who use their software. It is encrypted. And there were two bankers in Rodent Space just a few minutes ago who also stepped up, and another gentleman who actually works for Palantir, and they said the message is absolutely not clear. Yes, you can have concerns, but they do not have access to any of your data and never will. They are a third party, just like you use Microsoft, or if you use a different, like she used it for trading stocks or stocks and bonds. They use a software. So they do not have access to any of your information. It is a data company. And also what they're saying about Peter Thiel and the other person, I can't remember his name, that started it in 2003. He's long gone. So the rumors and the information is totally inaccurate. You can listen to Rodent Space. You can DM Stop Mom personally without being subscribed to her and ask her. But I do trust her, and she actually has stock in that, and she would not be misleading any of us. She's America first, very strict conservative. So sadly, not enough people are told, and we're part of that group, misinformation. Do we do a good message? No, we don't. Everybody can agree on that. I am in Texas. I do have family in Abilene. They have seen what's happening with the 1,000 acres. They do understand what's being built. It is going to employ people. They are excited. but that's correct information that I'm giving you. So if you haven't researched it, please do before we continue being real upset about it. But it is not any access through them. And if any violations happen, you will have to go after, just like the banker said, you'll have to come after their bank. So they're already using it. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Kimberly,
Go ahead,
I was
Andrea.
wondering if I could speak on this because I know the Palantir platform very well. I was forced to learn it. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. I was forced to learn it for other purposes. And she's absolutely right. I did a very long thread on it. I'd like to put it in the Jumbotron. The issue at hand is not Palantir. The issue at hand is whomever gets the data, well, how are they going to use it? So they are a third-party provider. Their platforms aggregate data from other data sets, whether it's websites or police stations or medical centers. They're in in almost every major industry, from the military, defense contractor to the medical industry when it comes to disease surveillance, when it comes to aggregating data for quicker medical medical drug trials. They can do some really good things as far as what they are able to do as far as aggregate data quickly and then whoever is using that information, they can come up with appropriate solutions. Can the data be used wrong? Yes, but not by Palantir. It's a collector of data. It's an aggregator of data. It's not the council. They don't make the decisions in regards to how the data is going to be used. Who does are municipalities, states, and the federal government, whether it's our federal government or another government in another land. So the Jew haters have come out at me really strong because I said what the issue at hand is, that we need to have our federal lawmakers to put up guardrails so they do not use that data in an inappropriate way and breach our civil liberties. It's the people that get the data that makes the decision on how it's going to be used. So that's what the issue is at hand.
Thank you,
And
Andrea.
You're welcome. If I can put it up in the Jumbotron, it's a long article. I don't know if you want to put it in American Mission or not, but I understand it very well. I also, my latest post, I put Wendy Anderson underneath it because she used to work for Palantir and she said exactly what I'm saying. AI can be a wonderful thing. It can help humanity. It can save lives. What we did see, though, and we're not quite sure how they used it, is Palantir aggregated the data during COVID and gave it to the federal government. And the federal government used that data to see who was complying with mandate laws, who was going to church, excuse me, etc. That was the federal government's decision, not Palantir's decision.
Yeah, and I mean, we all seen how the federal government likes to coerce social media and other technology companies. So,
what scares me
there's always that risk of, there are going to be bad actors, and it's already happening if it's happening, right? We can't allow for the fear to paralyze us from putting in guardrails. Like, one of the things, I guess, that Elon has a problem with the big, beautiful bill is this 10-year moratorium on state AI regulations. That seems a little bit, like if we're not going to allow our states to regulate it, because I feel like the states are going to be closer to it than the federal government is going to be, we have to be, you can't not allow them to do that. If they wind up having a case where they see a clear path to, saying, no, we're not going to allow that to happen, we've got to be able to do that.
Exactly, and that was my exact point. I'll put it up in the jumbotron. I can't do it right now. My fingers are dirty because I was eating, and I don't want to get my cell phone all yucky. But I'll put it up in a minute. Imagine if you've worked for a company, if you understand it. I've been on multiple software upgrades. It's an enterprise-wide system that, I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, that a company uses, where they aggregate all the different systems into this enterprise-wide system. And it makes life so much better because you can pull everything in to one place and make decisions, which was really important for me.
It's
And I'm
it's
sure,
like Rocket Money.
what do you mean? What?
Like Rocket Money. There's an app. It's called Rocket, and you
Oh,
can
I know nothing about that.
Oh yeah, so you can pull in all of your money. Like you can put your investments and your subscriptions and your bank accounts and all of your stuff, so you have a dashboard and it shows you
Okay,
everything.
that's a good explanation too. So
Yeah.
again, what I'm saying is it's not the company that's the issue. The issue is, how are they going to use that data? Who's going to make that decision? So it's the people that are given the data, our government, our officials. So we need to put appropriate guardrails up to protect our civil liberties. And I put a couple examples in my post. But one being, they do also have a surveillance facial recognition that many law enforcement agencies use for crowd control and many other things. They also use that for border security. So it can do some great many things, but it can be misused also. So we need to ensure that we have policies in place that protect us in regards to our civil liberties, whether it's disease surveillance or it's police surveillance or it's, surveilling health data to come up with new medical treatments for the population at large.
Well,
So
I feel like
that
there's nothing in place right now.
exactly.
I have
Yeah.
a question. What guardrails have the government paid attention to at all, like with the Patriot Act?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have to, as individuals on the ground, talking about it like we are today, to start putting pressure on our federal officials to put up those guardrails, whatever they will be, or
You're assuming that we can trust them.
I operate on what the environment is now and what it could be. And that's the only way that we can operate. We have seen things change in regards to policies that have been put in place, things that have been taken out of bills because of the public pressure. That is what is in our control right now. It is not in our control as far as the neck the warp speed the warp speed that AI is advancing in, and it can be used for good things, but we also need to put the guardrails in. Unfortunately, technology, and it's been this way ever since, the first computers and the big mainframes, technology moves faster than our federal officials, our elected officials. So it's up to us, it behooves us as citizens on the ground, whatever that may look like, to write up the policies and send them for a recommendation, and to put public pressure through, uh, I don't know what you call them. What do you call those? Like Mike Davis's Article Theory Project. It's a nonprofit organization that suggests, as far as federal judge nominations and whatnot, it behooves us to be organized, to get organized, and to put something in place like I just described, so we can eventually see some type of rails put up. Are there enough Republicans right now that see the need and the urgency to give us our civil liberty protections and not to see them breached again like we did since 2020? No. But the more we press on, the more we put pressure on them, maybe something will happen. That's the environment we're in. We have no control of how quickly AI is advancing, and it's advancing very quickly. And it's doing some really great things. But there's a downside to it too, as we're speaking today. So we need to put the pressure on our elected officials. Who's going to do that? I don't know. It needs to be many. So thank you.
I just have a question. Is it smart to centralize every single America's data in one spot? Is it, that seems
No,
a
definitely
little,
not.
that seems very dangerous, and that's what that database system basically does. They can put in one name and it will pull every bit of data from every single system into one spot.
They
So
can do that now.
So I have some experience on how that works in a corporate environment. So let's say I'm in the HR department. Well, I can. Well, that's not a good example because I could see just about everything, but well, up to the CEO. But let's say I'm in marketing or I'm in payroll, and I need certain information from different departments. You can program the system to only provide the information that is relevant that you need and to have anything that may be protected in any way, blacked out, shadowed out, whatever. So there are ways to set up mechanisms for protection as far as people's private data. What AI is going to do for our federal government, if they use it correctly, is it's going to make it 1,000 times more efficient. And that's what we want, right? Because the more efficiency we see, the less it's going to cost, the less we're going to have to pay in our taxes to the federal government.
Thank you.
Operation Mockingbird
All right,
is a
Pepe,
perfect example
no.
of them using the technology for our benefit.
All right, I've got lots of hands. Kelly, I'm going to get to you first, and then I want to go to Tamara's, and then Michael had his hand up too. Okay, so go that.
Okay, I just wanted to share that I did put the part of the bill in HR 1 that has that moratorium on the states for AI tech that really it needs to be removed. I mean, it is in HR 1. So, in my opinion, that needs to go. So, anyway, I put that section up there.
Well, isn't the Senate supposed to do that? Fix whatever it is they have a problem with so that we can get it passed? Isn't it supposed to be a back and forth? I don't understand.
The Senate has a problem. Who's looking at it, right? This part.
Right.
Why
it's
would Senate have a
let's
problem?
get on with it. If you see the problems, you pull them out and you address them and you revise it or amend it or whatever it needs to do so that we get the good things that are in there passed. Because every time we always let these bad things overshadow the good things and then we don't get anything done.
Well, that would presume that you have people who are interested in good government and bipartisanship and people who are patriots and not sold out to big pharma and the military industrial complex. And there's a very long list of other people who are holding on to the hemorrhoids of the powers that be in our Congress. And to be quite honest with you, that is why we have been in COVID spending gridlock for the last 3 years, is because these people who got a hold of the federal teats are not interested in letting go. And I saw a graph today about the national debt, and we were at 4 trillion in 1994 when Bill Clinton was president, and we're at 32 trillion now.
Because we have a bunch of retards in there.
That's absolutely insane, and that doesn't count. That doesn't count what's not on the books for the entitlements of Social Security and Medicare, which is another number of trillions of dollars that are not on book for hundreds of millions of recipients to come. And I'm probably in the last generation that may see Social Security for the rest of their life.
I've been told my whole life that I wasn't going to get any of it. So,
well, the crazy thing, Kim, is that they were screaming, not screaming, but like before Trump even got into office, they said that Social Security was set to run out in 2035.
yeah,
Before he got in office, and now they're like, oh, he's going after Social Security, he's going after Medicare.
yeah, we're
Like,
not
yo,
stupid.
you guys are crazy. It's already been set to go out by 2035. He's trying to fix it, for God's sake.
They weren't supposed to touch it. They weren't supposed to be able to touch it. And then somebody let them into the cookie jar, and now we've got a bunch of IOUs where there should be our money.
I was around the last time that they quote unquote fixed it. That was in 1983, and there was a commission that was appointed, and the guy who headed it up was somebody by the name of Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who was a senator from New York, and he was the pretty brilliant guy. He was a Democrat, but he was an effective legislator, and he was very interested in making sure that this problem got fixed. And the deal with the president is they were going to come up with something, and it was going to be an up or down vote. Wasn't going to be subject to amendments. And the president said if they could pass it in both houses, that he promised he would sign it. And that's exactly what they did. And so we ended up with a bill that took Social Security, I think it was about 30 or 35 years into the future with funding. And it was a pretty impressive situation. And so we find ourselves now at the precipice of another crisis that they wait until the last possible moment to deal with, because it's the third rail of American politics. And they've made slight adjustments to age of retirement and the payouts, and they've made adjustments to what people are charged for Medicare. I've got some clients that are paying $6,000 a year in Medicare premium. Okay, so it's not cheap if you're making a lot of money. It's not like they're getting a free ride. The average Medicare payment is about $2,000, so they're paying 3 times that. And so it's not like they haven't made changes to the system to try to keep it afloat. But when you've gone from 4 people paying into the system for every one retiree to 1-to-1, it's
Well, whose fault is that?
really tough. Well, people are not having sex, Kim, and they're not making babies. So
No, or maybe they're making us infertile because they keep poisoning the crap out of us, and they're bending our genders, and everybody doesn't know what they're a girl or a boy anymore.
That's one of the problems. The other problem is that when this system was designed by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, people died when they were about 68, so the payout was only for about 3 years. So now people are living, well into their 80s.
Not for long.
And so the payout is significantly longer. So
well, they're fixing that right good.
Well, COVID wiped out a whole bunch of old people. So, Social Security is not being paid out, except, I guess we found out from Elon that we got, at least one guy or woman who I'm not sure which was, 350 years old, still collecting Social Security. I'm not
Older than
sure
the
how
damn
that works,
country.
since the country's only 250 years old, but there's that. So,
Well, let me get to Tamras,
We gotta
Michael,
get rid
and
of these.
then you can go. Okay, go ahead, Tamras.
We gotta get rid of these vampires. So
Hi, how are you all doing? I'm originally from central Pennsylvania area, and I was pretty familiar with how entrenched the Democrat control was in all of Pennsylvania, it being a blue state. My question is for anyone who is familiar with the education system and the union control there. I was wondering if any of the educators, maybe within the chat, would know if anybody's doing anything about the amount of control the unions had over hiring and firing our educators, and whether or not they're still trying to utilize DEI in the way that the kids are being taught in the public school systems. If anybody has any information about that, I would like to hear that. Thank you.
I mean, I don't have specific information, but I mean, I know that, obviously there are directives coming down, that there are a lot more people who are aware of the social emotional learning and critical race theory. And so I think it's just going to take time. It's just like it took time to get it in there. It's going to take time for us to get it out. Not only that, but you've got time to get people educated on it, because it is very, elusive, it's very manipulative, and it focuses on our empathy, and it weaponizes it. It weaponizes our language. It's really bad. But I don't have any specifics on that, but except for what President Trump has been doing, and talking about dismantling the Department of Education, and going about it that way. But it's going to take a bottom up strategy as well.
There's two institutions that are basically have control of the union, and it's AFT and PSEA. So I was curious if anybody has heard anything negative about those two institutions, that someone could do something about those. Also, with the upcoming judges vote out in November in Pennsylvania, I know the Democratic Party usually goes into the schools and tries to pre-register all of the 18-year-olds in the school systems.
Yeah, I was thinking we needed to do that this year. Like, we need to send out reps to get into the high schools and start getting, being there, at least representing the other side.
Yes, and instead of it just being one-sided initiative. Yes, I agree. I just wanted to get some awareness of that out.
Well, and that's another thing, right? That so Jen, has pointed out in the past, with voting, Republicans were not allowed to be poll workers up until 2020. So there's this, the Democrats have been running this show and getting access to these kids from the get-go. And they have made it so that it is extremely difficult for conservatives to get in there through, just the ideologies of the schools and the culture that they've basically been in control of everything for quite a long time, and getting paid. Now we found out, making enough money that they didn't have to work like we did, so they got paid for their time doing that.
Well, I've seen Scott Pressler, who's pretty much been doing a lot in Pennsylvania. Went after the Amish, went after the hunters up there. He's going after different groups. I haven't heard him mention going after, high school students in Pennsylvania, but you might want to send him a message to that effect because he's always looking for things, new roads to travel, and Pennsylvania is his backyard.
That's a good idea. And another resource, Tamaris, is Courage is a Habit. You can go out to their X account or their website. They have a lot of materials, and they probably can help you out with your questions about education because they're pretty deep in that. So
My people are
great.
from central Pennsylvania, Altoona State College. Got a special place in my heart for that.
Well, Michael is from there too. So, Michael, do you have any information? I know your hand is up.
Not so much about the schools. I've been out of the education system for a while. I know that I know about the vote for the judges that's coming up. There's 3 Democrat Supreme Court judges that we can have removed. Currently, they have the majority, 5-3, I believe. So it's super important if we could flip that because they've caused us a lot of problems here. The reason I raised my hand earlier was about Palantir. We've kind of moved on from that, but I just want to say, like, I agree with a lot of the things that Andrea was saying about the actual tech. I just the red flags I pulled up a post this is from the Patriot Voice. I'll just quote a couple things. Like the current CEO and the co-founder is Alex Karp, who spoke at the WEF in 2023, stating that their primary goal is to set a global standard for the world for behavior.
Hell no.
He goes on to say that they're being funded fully through the CIA from QTEL. And then this guy's like on a mission to like stop the populist right in Europe from rising. Like, so I just have concerns about a guy that's the CEO of the company. If that's the guy that's making decisions with such a powerful tool, that's a red flag for me. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's really bad. I mean, those are all things that are antithetical to what we all stand for. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
You don't get to determine behavior beyond laws. Okay. I'm not going to break any laws, but I'm also going to, be able to behave the way I want to behave without breaking any laws.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. I mean, you go to the WEF.
I mean, hell, I
that's
might
a
be
problem.
breaking laws. I don't know because there's so many damn laws, anyways.
That's right. We're always breaking laws. We don't even know.
Go ahead, Miss Positive. Oh, sorry. Were you done, Hammers?
I just had one more thing just to raise some awareness of something. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but the areas in and around cities, townships, areas in any state where the Democratic control is the strongest is inside filtration of the area courthouses where the legal battles are starting, basically, with the zoning and control of everything, basically.
Well, Tammy, you got lucky because our friend down below here is listening, Mr. Pressler, who we mentioned earlier. So he got to hear about that, and I think I'm sure that he will be taking notes, and Pennsylvania will be a much better place because of what he's heard here today.
Yeah, I had a horrible time living there in Pennsylvania with the things I had to deal with as a single mom. And just living there was very difficult because of all the rules, regulations, and strangulation on everything you could do with your life, basically.
I mean,
It was
when
a
did
lot
it
of
become a
aggression.
sport to make Americans miserable? What is this?
It's about control, and making money off of you. Yeah.
Oh,
Scarcity of any kind is what communists use to take control of populations.
Especially housing.
Miss Positive,
Thank,
did you want to say
thank
something?
you.
Thank you, Tamara. I don't think, is she not there? Are you there? She's probably in another space.
I haven't heard from Adam yet today.
Oh, Adam was speaking earlier. What's up, Adam?
What's going on? Just looking at different things as far as my straightening out my immigration situation, but seems like I might be having to apply for a presidential pardon. Is what I'm gonna have to probably do.
We're gonna have a little working group for that. Don't you worry.
So you want to throw my name in the bin? It seems I need one because I was looking at this state at this case with the BIA, which basically is Nolan 1991, and basically the governor's pardon didn't apply. So basically, even though the governor's pardon was there, they could still defer and be like, no, we don't want to accept that. So it seems that the presidential pardon would, help with that situation. So I didn't really think I was going to need one, but it seems I'm going to need one. So I'll be throwing my name in the bin there.
You hear that, Don Juan? That's one sand guy that I do not want to deport. So let's give him a pardon.
Yes, you will be included in the working group for pardons. Don't you worry, Adam.
Thank you.
All right. So what are some of the other things that Elon has a problem with as far as the bill is concerned? I know that I saw that so we got the AI moratorium, and then was it overspending, not enough cuts?
Kim, real quick, I did want to thank Grok, because if it wasn't for Grok, I wouldn't be able to dig down. So AI can be very useful as well. Sorry.
No, Grok is great. Grok helped me with my scavenger hunt. It was amazing.
As long as Grok stays loyal to the foil and Team Humanity.
Grok will not become the Terminator, I hope.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my computer screen up. Does anybody else have their hands up? Because I can't see them.
I don't think so, but I think Elon's just generally mad along the same lines as like Mike Lee and Ron Johnson, where they just.
So it says elimination of the $200 tax on gun silencers, defunding of Planned Parenthood, which I am all for defunding it. I mean, it's not what it was when I was in school. It is actively selling human parts, baby parts, and it's just out of control. Creation of the MAGA accounts he has a problem with. The bill proposed to establish a tax advantage savings accounts dubbed MAGA accounts, providing $1,000 to parents for each child born between 2024 and 2028. Critics argue this initiative lacks a clear connection to the bill's stated goals and could have significant fiscal implications. Yeah, we need babies. We need babies.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Restriction of judicial contempt powers. A provision limits federal courts' ability to enforce contempt citations against federal officials who fail to comply with court orders unless a bond is posted by plaintiffs. This measure has raised alarms about undermining judicial authority and accountability. Well, they kind of need some of that. The SALT tax, the increased state and local tax deduction cap. The bill it says that straying from the bill's purported focus on middle class relief, ban on Medicaid funding for gender affirming care. We're fine with that. Reduction of clean energy incentives. We're fine with that. Allocation of $25 billion for the Golden Dome missile defense system. Well, I mean, that'd be nice, but it's sort of a nice to have, not really imperative right now. We've got some really crucial things and critical things that need to be done.
Iran is kind of crucial, so I'm okay with an Iron Dome.
Yeah, you got the Golden Dome would actually cut after the fact, cut our expenses on military, because it would make the weapons from foreign adversaries kind of pointless.
Tile.
So they were complaining, these leftists, they were complaining and screaming about not being more inclusive of deaf people. And now that we're putting, less taxes on silencers to make them more affordable for the average American, now they're throwing a fit about that. You can't make these people happy.
Got to keep those guns loud.
So did anybody else have anything they wanted to say about the big, beautiful, ugly bill?
Was the 70K raise in there for Congress?
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, I think we should have a cut in pay, 50% cut in all Congress and Senate pay.
Let's look at the national debt. Have you been doing a good job? Do you usually get a raise when you do a bad job? No, you get fired. No pay raise for them.
How about you don't get paid unless you pass all 13 appropriation bills?
Until you balance the budget. How about that? We hold pay until you balance the budget.
Agreed.
So there is another bill that we'd like to talk about.
Oh, wait, before you move on, I'm reading that it's not included in the bill that members of Congress would get a raise.
Yeah, no, that they got a raise last year in the continuing resolution, and they went from 174,000 to 180,600. I don't know where that 70,000 is coming from, but I've seen that around a lot lately, but I don't know if that's true or not.
But the ridiculous thing about that, Kim, is that's chump change to compared to what they really make, with kickbacks and all that. They're millions, like within a few
miraculously
years. Like
they're millionaires.
What was it? AOC was doing IKEA furniture, famously quoted by Chris Philby. And then now she's worth millions, right?
I think 28 million now.
Wow.
I think they should make like $35,000 a year, like an average American blue worker makes. That's all they should be allowed to make.
And if they pass a bill, they get a little stipends for everything they actually do for the American people. They get little bonuses.
In the Senate, you don't have. Everybody in the Senate pretty much is a millionaire. It's just a matter of degrees.
Just audit them all. I think they should all be audited. Where's that money coming from?
Think like how many 8 House members and so many 8 senators are under investigation right now. Like
and they made it okay to audit. They made it okay to audit politicians. They audited Trump. They took 10 years of his taxes.
So got Senate races that are going into the multi-millions of dollars. Some of them $30, $40 million, $50 million.
Ashton, I want you to take some hamburger with you for Johnny.
Miss Positive.
Hot mic.
And
just hit the mute button, Chris.
I did. And for a job that pays $180,000, this is insanity. Now, how many people can you feed for $50 million or $30 million? How many houses can you build for $50 million or $30 million? How much money can come off of the national debt? You'd save at least a little bit of interest, right?
That's just it. It's like we've got to see some movement. Like, when are they going to quit playing games and get to work doing what needs to be done in order to save this country?
So we need to get some people that are in this room to retweet to space, because limited number of people in here. We've got.
I just see 59.
We've got the FAFO Act that we want to talk about briefly. It was submitted to a subcommittee today, and of the House Oversight Committee, and you can go in and to our to the American Mission feed and go to our replies, and you will see the individual members that are there that we sent posts to, and you can like and repost those, which will help get their attention. And it was sent as a fax directly into their office. So it wasn't an email that they can delete, because now I've got a receipt that they received it. And
I think this is brilliant, Chris. It's going to be brilliant. How could they resist the FAFO Act?
And so I actually, while I was sitting here, while you all were talking, I saw when you send hearts to each other in here and stuff like that, I saw a heart from Nancy Mace.
Yes, I saw that too.
Can anybody
It's Nancy Mace parody account.
Yeah.
Can somebody hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
You can hear me. Cool.
Only him.
I'm very new to this whole spaces thing. And this whole thing has been very confusing. Civics on Spaces, beautiful or ugly bill, Eisen to jail by Labor Day. And the subjects have just bounced from left to right. I'm confused. I don't know exactly what the
So we've gone around in some topics. We had a friend of ours come by that needed to, give us some information on this Maine School Board. So we were helping out with that. But we are talking about the big, beautiful, ugly bill. And then also Mr. Philby is talking about another bill that we have actually proposed to Congress. That's what he's filling us in on right now.
Word. Okay.
And that's called the FAFO Act.
Okay. Makes sense. I feel like the description of the room, I guess you would call it, that I've found myself in now is very lacking in describing exactly what room I'm in.
What would you suggest?
More information. I mean, I'm looking at Civics on Spaces.
What do you want to know, Fed?
I'm sorry.
So what do you want to know, Fed?
I was just asking him what he would suggest.
You just called me a vet?
A vet? No,
Fed?
I need a vet. My cat just died, so.
No, not cat. Fed. You just called me a Fed?
Oh.
I did, to lighten the mood, yes.
Oh my God, where's Jen?
What the fuck?
So no, back to the name suggestion. Did you have one?
A name suggestion?
Yeah.
Sorry?
You said you were criticizing the title. So I figured you might have something.
No,
better.
I'm criticizing the lack of description for where I am right now.
Okay, so we're talking civics.
Okay,
We are
so what's the
talking about
solution?
civics currently,
Yeah.
and we are covering a wide range of topics. So if you want to catch up with what's going on, just mute your mic, raise your hand when you have something to add to the conversation. That would probably be a lot better.
Yeah, well,
because we're pushing us.
So we're talking about civics, which includes the big, beautiful, ugly bill, right?
What
And then
what
we
is
brought
what
up-
is
we
civics
brought-
first of all?
We brought
and
up
what
the
is the big
FAFO
ugly
Act,
bill?
right?
I don't understand.
So that involves civics as well, and then we brought up also the main bill, which involves civics as well. So I don't understand
don't
where
know
you're
what
having
civics
If you don't
discrepancy with
understand
it.
civics, maybe
I
the
don't know what
spaces
civics
beyond-
means, and I don't know what the big ugly bill
Oh,
means.
stick around and find out. Hang out
Why
in
are
the
we
listener
allowing a
box. Take care.
disruptor to come in and disrupt this
I'm done.
conversation?
I took him off the stage. I was done
Thank
with
you.
And now you could listen in and learn civics.
I brought him up because he's fairly new, and he didn't look like he was going to.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
He's old enough to know what the definition of civics is. That's
Well, he can hang
disingenuous, though.
around and learn what civics is. He obviously doesn't know, so.
They don't teach civics in school, so it's not his fault.
It's sad, yeah. So
we have to make retarded great again.
Well, they don't teach manners either, apparently.
Okay, civics is the study of our government and our how our government functions and our founding documents and how our government works within the confines of our founding governments, of the founding documents, and how our laws are passed, and how our courts interpret the laws.
How we, the people, get involved with that processes.
Yeah, we live in a constitutionally limited republic, which the power that is given to the government comes from the people. It's not the other way around. And civics is a way for us to help people understand that the government works for us, not we are not subjects of the government. This is not a kingdom. This is not a dictatorship. This is not something where you have to kiss the ring or the ass of anybody in Washington, D.C. They are our employees or our contract workers, and they are there as public servants. And so, we should treat everybody with respect, okay? And the it's just the bottom line is that the name of this space is Civics on Spaces, and we are discussing interesting topics about our government.
All right, we're moving on. Now we're moving on from this. Let's go back to what we were talking about, the FAFO Act.
And I believe Kelly has her hand up too. So just a heads up in case you don't see that.
I just had an announcement on the FAFO Act. If you remember, way back last year, there was a website created Policies for the People. The FAFO Act is now officially on the Policies for the People, ready to be voted on by everybody. So go there and give it a thumbs up and comment on it.
Throw it up top, please.
It is. It's in a Jumbotron.
Perfect. Yay. Okay. I'm so glad. Is there anything else you would like to say about the FAFO Act, Mr. Philby?
No, I think people can go read it. It's it's a pretty short bill. It's only 4 pages. So
perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I did want to before we I did want to switch over to Norm Eisen and Insurrection Barbie's post that she put out earlier this week and talk about, one of our goals is to have Mr. Eisen in jail by Labor Day. That would be very nice. He is a big problem. He has done a lot of very bad things to this country. And so we're going to talk a little bit about him because I think that he needs to remain top of conversation until he's in jail. I was going to play a little bit of the autocracy in America, but I don't know if I could stomach it tonight. But I will read Barbie's post.
And there's some videos I put in the back DM, Kim.
I came here just for Uncle Eric, though, Kim.
I'll do that at the end. I am going to read some Uncle Eric today.
What president are we on, by the way? 25?
So we are, I believe we are on, I was just messing with this document today. We are on William Howard Taft. And then we go to Woodrow Wilson. So we're on 27. I figured we'd just do 2 of them today because, we don't want to overload ourselves with too much information. So we can get to those. I did want to read Insurrection Barbie's post because, again, I think it's really...
She's been hitting Norm pretty hard, huh, lately?
Yeah, exactly. And so we were going to get her in here tonight. I think she might have been busy, or I don't know. But I did want to go through it. We did put our information that we've accumulated out there on her post. A lot of people piled in good stuff. Let's see. Of course, she posts a lot of stuff, so now I got to go find it.
I put it in the back DM.
Oh, okay. Let me just go there.
I can also pin it too.
Let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay. So how Norm Eisen's 2025 Democracy Playbook plans to take over for the midterms without the presidency. What happens if Democrats plus globalist NGOs lose the White House? Nothing changes because they've spent years building a machine that runs without needing the presidency. Here's how they plan to rule: through lawfare, NGOs, media, plus states, plus their plans for the 2026 midterms. I mean, this is really, he's been gearing up for this, you know, as soon as he knew they were going to lose. I mean, this is the guy that pre-plans. He had how many different impeachments that he was going to bring forth? Like 10 that he had written for President Trump. He was very proud that he got 2 through. So this guy is a real piece of work. Why am I not seeing the thread? It's like not pulling up.
I had the same problem. If you go on the Nest and use the thread reader page, because I was thinking, oh, there's nothing there. And for some reason, if you pull it up there, you can see it all.
That's really weird.
Isn't it, though? I think somebody's suppressing her.
I think it was an article, wasn't it?
No, I looked in her articles. No, it was a thread. Or, well, actually, it was not a thread, but a singular post. So why you cannot see it on her wall, I don't know. It won't pull all up. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's really weird. All right, well, I'm not in the space on my computer, so can somebody pull it up? Can you put it in the DMs, please? Because I can't get into the space at my...
It's in the back DM. You
Okay.
have to scroll. I can repost it.
The thread reader?
Yeah.
Because I'm on the post,
oh, okay,
but I'm not on...
Okay. Let me go.
I need the thread
Yeah,
reader.
let me do that. Oh, I gotta mute.
Kelly, you're so wonderful. Oh, there's Jen. Hey, Jen. We're talking about your favorite person.
Hey, guys.
You missed it. We had a new Civics newbie. Oh, there we go. Okay, so.
He was asking a lot of questions, Jen, and then he got offended when I called him a fed.
All right.
So obviously Kim liked him. Okay.
I was trying to be nice. He's still requesting. That's okay. You just stay down there and learn. All right. So, yes, I have read the playbook. Step 1, state level election control. The White House does not certify elections. Secretaries of state do. In 2026, Democrats plus NGOs like Democracy Alliance, Democratic Association of Secretaries of State are spending $40 million to dominate swing state election offices. Control the election referees, control the election. Step 2 is civil society army. NGOs never leave. NGOs don't leave when presidents change. Groups like Democracy Docket by Mark Elias, the Brennan Center, Common Cause, Fair Fight Action with Stacey Abrams, Southern Coalition for Social Justice, Movement Voter Project, SPLC, Indivisible, stay and fight regardless of who's in office. Step 3, lawfare in courts. The legal system is immune to elections. NGO plus Dem lawyers flood the courts 24/7, blocking state laws, suing over voter roll rules, fighting ID requirements, and forcing states to adopt expansive voting laws. Litigation locks in rules that presidents can't can't easily undo. Step 4 is media and tech narrative control. White House gone, doesn't matter. Big media plus big tech remain aligned. NGO partners plus think tanks push platforms to censor misinformation, boost pro-democracy narratives, silence populist speech. NGO partners like Brennan Center, ADL, and Media Matters. Step 5 is corporate plus academia leverage. Universities, HR departments, Fortune 500 companies don't flip red with the presidency. Through ESG plus DEI plus NGO partnerships, they push civic norms. Election denial equals disinfo. Voting restrictions equals racism. Democracy needs protection from nationalists. Culture captures continue. Step 6, international plus foreign leverage. Presidents come and go. Global institutions do not. Brookings, NDI, Open Society, UN, EU, and foreign-funded NGOs will pressure the GOP states internationally, fund lawsuits, attack authoritarian U.S. actors abroad. Globalization plus democracy promotion equals permanent pressure. Step 7, protest and street power. 2020 wasn't a one-off. NGOs fund plus mobilize. Indivisible, Move On, Color of Change, Sunrise Movement, SEIU plus teachers unions to flood the streets and corporate offices if democracy is threatened. Election crisis equals instant mass pressure. Who wins and who loses? Who gains power? Democrats plus aligned civil society. NGO ecosystem plus global foundations. Tech, media, and academia. Who loses? Populist, state-level conservatives, election integrity plus skeptic movements. The democracy playbook of 2025 isn't just a think piece. It's the strategy to govern no matter who wins elections. Lock in rules by lawfare, capture election offices, control media narratives, mobilize NGOs plus street power. White House or not, power remains. The question is, what are we planning on doing to counter it? Yeah. So when I read that, I was like, oh, it's so true. They have everything built. They've got just tons of tools and infrastructures in place. And these people, again, they've been getting paid enough money to not have to have another job while us dumb butts have been like working our tails off. See, I didn't even cuss there, Miss Positive. I did real good.
So, Kimberly, based on what you read, what is the We the People solution?
I mean, we got to dismantle some of this infrastructure that they have put into place.
So, the first tip I would give most of us is that you have to learn the laws in your state and how you can sue your elected officials. You got to put them all on notice. And those in bureaucracies, you have to take away what we call PMS, their power, their money, and their access to sex. Those things you got to begin to do. You got to learn it in your state. We're doing it in California, and we get rid of all the grifters and all these people in legislation that are nothing but a bunch of bureaucracy people. But if you don't know how to fight from the ground up, we the people will be just what they want because they're doing it from top down and they're doing it through lawfare. So we also have to get, as people, not as an organization, this is the biggest thing that we got to be careful of in America, is that we keep thinking that the government is the answer. The government's our problem. It's too big already. We, the people, now have to act individually. And if we do it collectively, we can get a lot done.
I can't disagree with that.
No, absolutely. It is so important to learn your state's, state constitution, to learn, to join the party and to, get involved at the local level. I mean, I can't tell you how important it is. I mean, yesterday I went to my school board meeting and I mean, I'm in there standing up and arguing about why my county will not remove porn from the schools. Like, I'm not banning the books. You can certainly go to the library and get them. You can go to the bookstore and get them. I'm just taking them out of the schools where the children get them. I mean, we have American Psycho in our schools. I don't know if any of you guys have ever read that book. I didn't realize it was a book. I've only seen the movie. The movie is like PG compared to what the book is, and it's in our schools. I mean, like murder scenes, murder and sex scene. It just it was horrible. I couldn't even barely read it. So I think that we've got some real work to do.
The problem that we have is that people have decided that they want to treat children as tiny adults, and it's most of that has come from the screen culture and screens becoming the adults' excuse to not have to deal with their children. Here, from the time they're almost infants, have a screen, have a TV screen, have a tablet screen, then move on to a phone screen, and then it's a computer screen. And
I would argue that the TV screen did a lot more damage to us because you didn't have access to infinite amounts of information.
When we were growing up, we only had one TV. It was a family TV, and you watch TV with your family. And
well, Gen X was brought up on the TV.
So I mean, I was like 17 before I got my own TV in my room or whatever, but maybe a little younger than that. But I had to buy it. I had to work and pay for it, and TVs weren't cheap back then. Let me tell you. But kids. I've heard it a 1,000 times in these spaces where people much younger than me, Adam's age, and Adam's not that old, where parents throw your ass out of the house and don't come back until the street lights come on. Or dinner's at 6 o'clock. Make sure you're back, to have dinner with your family, and kids didn't have cell phones at school. Now,
Chris, even when my dad kicked me out of the house for whatever, we got in an argument, and I went and lived with a friend for about 2 months, I would still come home for dinner every day at 5 o'clock. Even though I was kicked out, I would come home for dinner and sit with my family and have dinner. That's that was kind of a family traditional thing, like you're saying. That's missing. The dinner table is so important. All
right. Well, Jeremy, I guess, Jeremy hadn't spoken yet. We'll go to him, and then over to Edward again. So.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I see the NGOs being a huge problem. It's kind of like the CIA. They get funded. It's 501c3. There's no oversight at all. And so the government says we need this done, and it's like plausible deniability. And so the question I have is, how do we get rid of the damn NGOs? Is that even possible? Because they're the largest.
We sue them to kingdom come.
Okay. Because I personally knew a guy that ran the NGO, and he's the biggest grifter ever. And during the hurricanes, he would come in and give donations, and dude's driving around with the Lexus, and he's got no job. What the, this makes no sense. It's just, it was the biggest scam. He's bringing in $20,000 checks, and dude drops off a couple of diapers. What'd you do with the donations? There's no oversight. So yeah, I think that's the biggest problem at this point. I think they were big time with the churches, and big time they're highly responsible for the trafficking. That's
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just don't know how to get rid of them. That was my question.
I think that they did a lot of criminal acts, and I think that I feel like the NGOs we can take care of with actual, applying the law to them, because the amount of money that they essentially were laundering and misappropriating. There's no paperwork. There's no, so I mean, auditing them, making them open up their books. I mean, that should take care of a lot of them.
Well, are the NGOs tax-free organizations? You take their tax-free ability away.
Yeah, most of them are like 501c4s or 501c3s or whatever.
Yeah,
They're
501c3s.
501c3s, most of them.
Go ahead, Edward.
I just don't know how to attack them.
Yeah, I think it's through the law. I mean, I think that's really where it comes in. We just got to get rid of some of the really bad law apparatuses that they've put in place.
We can kill two birds with one stone. Okay, we give Norm Eisen a deal. All right, you stay out.
He would never take a deal. He's
NGOs.
The deal is 10 years or 30 years in prison. Life, yeah.
Life. Life or death? Which one do you want, Norm? Go ahead, Edward.
So I want to again go with, even if you put him in jail, there's another person behind him. Like you said, Kimberly, and we all know this, there's a well-oiled machine here in Hollywood. They've taken over the arts. They've taken over the universities. They've taken over media. Guys, what we have to do, literally, one family at a time, one house at a time, is take our country back. Okay? Like the people in California, we went from 2020, when they locked down everything, to find out for the first time that what they were teaching in our schools was not good. 17% of the population here in California that remained start to put their kids in homeschools. I live in Orange County, California. We have pods now. I mean, big pods where now kids are being taught where they're doing it in their own community.
Why are you acting like nobody else in the country is doing this?
I don't, Jennifer.
Like California is like this some
Jennifer. Okay.
Okay, raise your voice. It'll make me listen better. You're right.
Well, Jennifer, I don't think I have attacked you at all. I wasn't raising my voice at you. I apologize. Did you hear me raise my voice to you?
Oh my God.
I must have been hearing things.
Oh my God, you too. I swear. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I don't have Kimberly. I have nothing against Jennifer. I've never said anything to Jennifer.
I know. You just have a very interesting chemistry, the two of you.
I don't have any chemistry with her. Okay, guys, I live in California. I don't know where Jennifer lives. I never spoke to Jennifer. So I only can speak of where I live at. I don't know what everybody else is doing. I know what Edward's doing and his wife.
Bro. You've never spoke to me.
All right. Kimberly, I'm sorry, Jennifer. Jennifer, could I do one thing, Jennifer? You say I'm lying to you. What I'm talking to you about is the content of what I'm talking to you about right now.
Oh my God, this guy. Does anybody else see this or is it just me?
I like what Edward has to say. He's a little on the condescending side, but he does have very important information to talk about. And I know that he is stuck in a very hard place and he is doing the work that he can do to get out of it.
And his voice is very amplified.
It is a very strong voice. Go ahead, Edward.
Thank you. Again, I just put in the purple pill. If you want to look at some of the techniques and things that you can do in your own state, it's all listed. And people can automatically choose to do it themselves. It's going to take a lot of effort because, like what you said, again, Kimberly, what you read, they have built a mechanism, but it can also be dismantled. But we got to hit it hard and we got to do it individually because we need more people of courage to get it done. That's the difference. So if we together are better, okay, and I believe in clarity over agreement. We can all be clear on our method. We don't have to agree on how we get there. We just need to get it done.
Agreed. Thank you for the materials. I will definitely check them out. And I know that you do have spaces. Do you have like a set schedule of when you do spaces or you just kind of hop on there?
No, I do them every morning when I'm doing my 5-mile walk.
Oh, nice. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yep, that's what I do. So every Monday is Conservative Voices. So we talk about things to what can we do individually in our local state, locally? What can we actually accomplish together?
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jen, have you got any updates on Mr. Norm Eisen? Have you been hearing any scuttlebutt about him lately?
No, I haven't, Kim. I'm actually in the middle of dishing dinner out. Can you take it back?
Yes. Thanks, Jen. So
I put the FAFO
Hey,
Act.
shit, how many other people are on the stage? Why does it rest solely on my shoulders?
what are you talking about? I didn't know you were doing that.
I guess it's 9 o'clock, huh? It's a little late dinner. How about that?
I just started talking. Okay. have a little respect for the host, okay? Just a little bit. Plus, I'm sick on top of that.
Oh no.
I'm taking Dayquil. Now I'm going to switch over to NyQuil. Then it's going to get really bad.
Uh-oh.
No AM late night tonight.
Oh yeah.
Cayenne pepper. Do not forget your cayenne pepper.
I'm not clogged up, but if I do get clogged
It'll
up,
stop you. It'll stop it from getting in your chest and in your lungs. I'm telling you, even if you don't feel stuffed, it will help.
yes. Believe it or not, I have tried Sally's cayenne pepper remedy, and I swear by it. It is a godsend. Take a Q-tip, dip it in your cayenne pepper, and then shove it up your nostril as far as it'll go.
So you got rid of your fly problem, and now you got a cold.
And NyQuil is lots of fun.
I'm going to blame that on the flies. But anyway, so I put the FAFO Act up in the nest so the people can get to that. And I think that hopefully the members of the subcommittee will that include Nancy Mace and Anna Polina, Luna, and our friend from Colorado, Lauren Boebert, and some other nice people. Even Ro Khanna is in there, and so we might be able to get a couple of co-sponsors, and get the bill introduced. It's already made up for them. All they got to do is take it down to the clerk and get it introduced, and they'll be heroes. And you'll hear about the FAFO Act.
Yes. Why don't we? Do you want to do the FAFO Act, and then we're past we're past number 27. We're on 31 because we think we did Calvin Coolidge last time, didn't we?
Supposed to do Franklin Roosevelt next. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Is it official that Lauren Boebert is dating Kid Rock? Do we know if that's official?
Well, let's see what Grox does.
I don't know, but Kid Rock took a picture with George Bush Jr. at a baseball game the other day and posted it like it was a flex. Like, ew.
I'd probably take a picture with George Bush Jr. He's still the president, dude. Like
there is no definitive evidence confirming that Lauren Boebert is dating Kid Rock. Rumors started after they were seen together at a Trump inaugural event in January 2025, reportedly leaving in a cab at 2:30 a.m. Boebert was described as fangirling over Kid Rock, and they appeared cozy at the Rock and Rodeo event in May 2025. shown in a photo posted by Dana Lash. Boebert has not confirmed or denied the rumors, only joking to TMZ that her mom keeps asking for concert tickets. Kid Rock reportedly split from his fiancee, Audrey Berry, late in 2024, fueling speculation. Despite public interest, both have remained vague, and their interactions could be platonic or publicly driven. Social media buzz, like post on X, reflect curiosity, but offers no solid proof without explicit confirmation. It remains unverified gossip.
It sounds like they're dating.
Totally dating. See how we did
I want
that?
to say there was a Hollywood blind item the other day on TikTok from one of those outlets that was talking about the congressional member and the A+ list singer. I can't remember though.
So her most recent picture, her hair was not in her normal. Let's just say that she looked like she was in dating mode.
She didn't have her conservative hair going.
Good for her. Looks like they'll be in love all summer long.
Well, she didn't look like a hoe. Let's just say that.
Okay, the real ones just got that. Obviously, none of you except for Jeremy is a real one. Hey, Jeremy.
I mean, I snickered.
Okay, but did you get the joke?
Like Gossip Girl or something?
No, the name of Kid Rock's major song is All Summer Long.
Yeah, not a big Kid Rock person.
I'm music bereft, so.
You are music bereft.
My music memories died with Led Zeppelin.
What about
wow.
Led Zeppelin, The Who, Rolling Stones?
Yeah, there you go.
Rolling Stones are still alive.
Yeah.
Keith Richards is never going to die.
In Through the
Barely.
Yeah, In Through the Outdoor was the last album I bought.
Good album.
I know Craig still listens to music. You probably have your stereo removed from your cars.
I'm a Bangles fan, so there's that.
I have 80,000 songs in my music database load.
I knew it.
Yeah, but they're all from before 1979.
No, actually, I listen to actually almost present day, like from like the 70s. No. From even the
You listen to Coldplay in the bathroom, don't you?
It's a secret.
Okay, so clearly no music jokes with you people. Okay, moving on.
I did listen to Kelly Clarkson. Okay,
that explains a lot.
Anytime
that was
anybody
the first
says,
like major psyop on TV.
anytime anybody says her name, all I do is think about 40-year-old virgin when he's getting waxed and he yells her name.
A Rollins band.
What?
I saw the Eagles with Joe Wolf. That's relatively new, right?
I saw the Eagles in Washington D.C. in like 2012.
I saw King Crimson.
I saw Chicago.
All right, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd president of the United States from 1933 to 1945.
Communist.
And he's emphasizing quirky and obscure details about his life. Let's see. He was stamp collecting obsessive. FDR was a passionate philatelist. I guess that may be a stamp collector. Amassing over 1.2 million stamps, he worked on his collection during White House meetings, claiming it eased stress and even helped design U.S. postage stamps. He had secret yacht surgery. In 1933, FDR underwent a secret dental procedure on a yacht to avoid public scrutiny. The operation, done under anesthesia, was kept quiet to maintain his image of vigor. He was a cocktail hour host. FDR loved mixing martinis and hosted daily children's hour, gathering in the White House, serving cocktails to staff. His heavy-handed pours were notorious, often leading to strong drinks. So he was getting everybody liquored up, and in the guise of children's hour. Wonderful. He was the first to be TV broadcasted. FDR was the first president to appear on television, speaking at the 1939 New York World's Fair opening. Only a few thousand saw it, as TVs were rare, but it marked a media milestone. Let's see. Falla's fame. His Scottish Terrier, Falla, was a national celebrity, traveling with FDR and receiving fan mail. Falla starred in films and is immortalized in a statue at the FDR Memorial in Washington, D.C. Wheelchair designer. Paralyzed from polio since 1921, FDR designed his own wheelchairs for mobility, including a compact model using a kitchen chair. He kept his disability largely hidden from the public. Yeah, I'm surprised that he was able to get elected. Because, we tend to be pretty fickle about that kind of stuff.
He was able to stand behind a podium.
He got elected 3 times.
4 times.
4 times.
Failed VP
All I know
bid.
it was more than 2.
Yeah. In 1920, FDR ran for vice president on the Democratic ticket with James Cox. He lost to Warren Harding, but the campaign gave FDR national exposure at age 38. So then the following year, he got polio. That's really odd to get polio that old. Warm Springs Retreat. FDR founded a polio treatment center in Warm Springs, Georgia, where he sought therapy. He designed an accessible little White House there, where he died in 1945.
Yep, he got a headache and then he died.
Wait, is that where Tyler Perry's White House studio is?
I don't know. We can look it up, though.
Right, because didn't you just say that they created a White House in Georgia, and then the whole thing was that Joe Biden was using Tyler Perry's studios? Where's Cheney? Cheney's not here. Okay. Well, anyways, it was supposedly that Joe Biden was using Tyler Perry's White House studios, because if you look at the interviews with Joe Biden, the outside of the White House does not match the actual outside of the White House through the windows.
Well, Joe Biden created a Oval Office in the old executive office building too.
Yeah, they had a TV set basically as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
no president prior to Joe Biden needed to have a TV set Oval Office.
Yeah, it's Basement Joe.
Grok says no. Grok says no. Tyler Perry's White House studios and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Little White House are not the same. They are entirely distinct locations with different purposes and histories. Before I clarify the differences and provide context, let's see. Tyler Perry's White House studios is in Atlanta, Georgia, on 330 acres. And FDR's Little White House is in Warm Springs, Georgia, about 70 miles south of Atlanta. So no.
Jeremy's got his hand up. What do you got, Jeremy?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
So you remember the press conferences they were doing, and they were supposedly in the White House, and all of a sudden a jet flew over, and she's like, "I'm sorry, a jet's flying over," and it was hard to hear. The White House is a no-fly zone, so where the hell were they? It was some kind of fake White House. It was green screen or whatever, because there's a no-fly zone, and that happened multiple times. I remember watching live TV, and they're like, you hear the jet, and they're like, wait, sorry, it's hard to hear this jet flying over. Really? Since when? So they definitely wasn't the White House.
Well, honestly, I think, Donald Trump really settled this for us the other night, when he historically tweeted about Joe Biden being a clone and an interdimensional. What did he say?
It's so good. So good.
This is what I voted for, by the way. This is exactly what I voted for.
So, I mean, honestly, maybe he did need a TV studio because we've never had a clone president. Okay. So maybe they had to have special like TV effects in the studio to have a clone on national television.
I figured they had to do it because he needed such a huge teleprompter. It was like the size of a wall, so he could actually read off of it.
Did you know that Theodore, Franklin Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt were cousins?
Yeah, she also was like a lesbian and had like a lesbian lover.
I saw a video today that had it was flipping through all the first ladies and how much they look like men.
Yeah, I think Eleanor Roosevelt was probably one of the more unattractive first ladies.
Her and Barbara Bush they were neck and neck there.
Yes.
You mean Bob Bush?
Sally, what's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, did you know that Roosevelt in 1933 took away all of the gold and silver bullion and gave everybody paper money? And that is what is supposedly in Fort Knox. Also in 1932, he got rid of a manual that our servicemen were given. They erased all copies except for there's one that's floating around about how to make our people who went to war and fought for this country, our veterans, to be made whole. After they returned home, they educated the family, and they taught them what a constitutional republic was. And anything that had constitutional republic in that manual, they took out and they replaced it with democracy. So yeah, this guy was a peach.
Hold on. Wasn't this also because after January 6th, right, everybody's like, oh my God, no one's ever taken over the Capitol. And then, of course, on TikTok, here comes TikTok, telling me about a rebellion that happened, I want to say maybe 1921, somewhere in and around there, where they actually showed up to the Capitol building and took it over, and they had to bring in the military to get the guys out. I can't remember what the name of this is.
That wasn't Shay's rebellion.
It was after World War One.
It was after World War One.
All the soldiers were in DC, and they had to basically bring the military in to get them out.
I'm pretty sure they started killing them.
Well, you had Puerto Rican terrorists or nationalists shooting from the gallery.
Yeah, but that's different, right? What I'm saying is these were soldiers, right, who after World War I were not getting the proper, being made whole from the government. So they got pissed off and they showed up in DC and they started protesting. And I want to say they ended up taking the Capitol building and then they had to send in the military. But before that, I had never heard about it. I don't remember and I'm pretty good at history, right? I don't remember being taught in school about ex-soldiers.
Nope, never heard about
over the Capitol building.
They were called the Bonus Army in 1932. The Bonus Army, officially called the Bonus Expeditionary Armed Force, considered approximately 17,000 to 43,000 World War I veterans, their families, and supporters. They converged on Washington, D.C. in May through July of 1932 to demand immediate cash redemption of service bonus certificates, which were not due until 1945 under the World War Adjusted Compensation Act of 1924. The Great Depression, with unemployment nearing 25%, drove their desperation. Key timeline. May 1932, the march began, sparked by unemployed veteran Walter W. Waters in Portland, Oregon. Around 300 veterans started the journey, gaining national attention. By late May, thousands more joined, arriving in D.C. via freight trains, hitchhiking, or walking. In June 1st of 1932, about 1,500 veterans and families were in D.C., camping in shanty towns, including a major site on Anacostia Flats called Hooverville, and other locations near the Capitol.
Anacostia?
Anacostia, okay. By mid-June, the group swelled to between 20 and 40,000. June 15th, 1932, the House passed the Patman Bill for immediate bonus payment, but the Senate rejected it on June 17th. Veterans protested peacefully, singing patriotic songs like America the Beautiful. July 28th, 1932, after weeks of encampments, President Herbert Hoover ordered the U.S. Army, led by General Douglas MacArthur, to evict the marchers. Troops were with tanks, bayonets, and tear gas, cleared camps, burning shanties. 2 veterans were killed, 55 injured, and 135 arrested. May of 1933, a smaller second march occurred under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who opposed early payment but provided food, a camp at Fort Hunt, and jobs via the Civilian Conservation Corps. January 1936, Congress passed the Adjusted Compensation Payment Act, overriding FDR's veto, granting $2 billion in immediate bonuses, averaging $580 per veteran.
All right, so I think there's something really important in here. And I actually meant to bring this up a long time ago when I was reading about this, okay? So, and tell me if I'm wrong. So the bonds that were issued to the soldiers after World War I were set to come due in 1945.
After World War II.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So you said in there that there was a 1920s act where those bonds came from, right? Is that what you said?
I'm going back. So, all right.
I want to know where the bonds came from and who were in charge of the bonds, right? Because like it just seems very odd to me, right? That you issue bonds to soldiers that they're able to like get their bonds right in 1945, except like wouldn't most of them have to fight again and they'd never have to pay those bonds?
Yeah, definitely. So why were the bonus certificates set to pay out after World War II?
What, Chris? It's hard to hear you.
I said, I don't think they issued, I don't think they planned on World War II when they issued the bonds.
Are you sure about that? Because if we're going into conspiracy, who was it? Pike out of the Illuminati or the Freemasons said that there were going to be 2 world conflicts. And I want to say if you delve into conspiracy land, it wasn't a big shock that there was a second world war after the first world war.
Well, I confused Groff because I asked about it.
There you go.
So I asked it, why were they set to pay out after World War II? And it's like, well, they didn't know World War II was going to happen until, but what it says is that the World War Adjusted Compensation Act of 1924 awarded World War I veterans who served between April 5th, 1917 and November 11th, 1918, certificates as a deferred bonus for their service. The payout date of 1945 was chosen for several reasons. Economic considerations. The U.S. government faced significant war debts after World War I, $24 billion, equivalent to about $400 billion today. Immediate cash payments to 3.5 million eligible veterans at $1 per day for stateside service and $1.25 for overseas, capped at $500 to $625, would have cost an estimated $3.5 to $4 billion, straining the federal budget. Deferring payments to 1945 spread the fiscal burden over time, allowing the government to manage post-war recovery and avoid immediate tax hikes or borrowing. There was a certificate structure as a bond. The certificates functioned like an endowment, policies, or bonds, accruing 4% compound interest annually from 1925 to 1945. This increased their value over time. A $500 certificate would grow to $1,000 by 1945, incentivizing veterans to wait. The deferred payout was designed to provide a lump sum later in life akin to a pension when veterans might need it for retirement or family support. Congressional compromise. Veterans groups like the American Legion lobbied for immediate cash bonuses after World War I, as many faced unemployment during the 1919-1920 recession. However, President Calvin Coolidge and Congress favored fiscal conservatism, opposing large immediate payouts. The 1924 Act was a compromise. Veterans received certificates instead of cash, with full redemption in 1945 or partial loans. Long-term planning. The 20-year delay assumed veterans, mostly in their 20s and 30s during World War I, would be in their 40s and 50s by 1945, when the funds could support aging families or act as a safety net. Congress did not foresee the Great Depression, 1929-1939, which made God, that's a long time, which made the delay unbearable for unemployed veterans. No World War II, which began 15 years after the act.
It makes no sense. Okay, so they said they served from 17 to 18. Okay, the stock market crashed in 19. So what did these poor people do?
Stock market crashed in 29.
29. So, so they called it the certificate's nicknamed the tombstone bonus because many veterans would die before 1945, where their only asset but loans against them increased to 50% by 1931. They weren't enough. The House passed the Patman Bill in 1932 for immediate payment.
It was like Social Security, you know, they give it to you when you were 65, and most people died, you know, at 66 or 67 or, you know, before 65.
Most people die like right after they retire.
Yeah.
I'm just really upset we were never taught about this.
No,
was
I was
anybody
never taught
about
that.
this?
No.
This is what started me down my rabbit hole into everything conspiratorial because I started covering World War II stuff. I'm like, what happened to the gold bullion? What happened to these soldiers? And this was when I started questioning everything.
Sally, did you know that FDR knew about the bombing in Pearl Harbor before it happened?
That's what I was going to say. What really set me off whenever is finding out that the Japanese kamikaze attack wasn't really a kamikaze Japanese attack. We knew about it. Wasn't a surprise attack. We knew it was coming, and we just let these people die. Like, so if your government has historically let people die, like, maybe we shouldn't be trusted.
Well, we had intelligence. I don't know that they knew what the hour was going to be. But
you could have moved the fleet out of the harbor.
Yeah, they could have. And yeah, I worked with a guy. I'll never forget. His name was Vernon Udall, and I was working at a Ford dealership. And this guy was the kind of guy that if you sold the dealership, you know, he kind of went with it. You know, he was one of these guys that. He went out to farms and he made deals on the fender of the truck, you know, that kind of thing. And his brother was killed on the Arizona. So Ford had made a deal with, I think it was Mazda, to make these Japanese trucks. And they came out. It was sometime in the early 1980s when I started working there. And he said, well, I'm not going to sell those damn things. So why not? He said, my brother was killed on the Arizona, and I would give the Japanese, I would, well, let's just say he was very colorful. And, you know, the people in that generation were not very you know, giving when it came to the enemies of the United States in World War II. So I think that if we'd have known about that and they'd have known about that, I think there have been civil unrest in this country like you've never seen before.
Wait, say that last part again. What would make civil unrest in this country like never before?
Known that we knew what was going on in Pearl Harbor before it happened. Yeah, that's just like Gulf of Tonkin. Yeah,
I mean, look what we're finding out about that.
Yeah, we knew. Apparently, we knew that was going. You know, that was bullshit.
Well, apparently, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the ONI, and the Army Signal Intelligence Service, the SIS, and the State Department's cryptographic efforts, e.g., magic code breaking, intercepted Japanese communications indicating war was imminent, but did not pinpoint Pearl Harbor as the target. The attack's success stemmed from intelligence failures, poor coordination, and Japanese secrecy, not a deliberate suppression of knowledge. 1941 U.S. intelligence was fragmented with no centralized agency like the CIA. The main entities handling intelligence relevant to Japan were the ONI, the SIS, the State Department and Magic Program, and the FBI. These groups operated with limited resources, interagency rivalry, and no unified structure, unlike the modern CIA. What they knew, general threat awareness by
This sounds like it was written like by the CIA.
by 19, I mean, they
just
probably do control Grok. By 1941, U.S. intelligence knew Japan was preparing for war due to escalating tensions over U.S. oil embargoes and Japan's expansion in Asia. They intercepted Purple, a diplomatic cables via Magic showed Japan planned to break off negotiations with the U.S. with a deadline of November 29th, 1941, signaling potential military action. On November 27th, 1941, war warning from Washington to Pacific bases, including Pearl Harbor, alerted commanders to expect Japanese aggression, likely in Philippines, Malaysia, or Dutch East Indies, but did not mention Pearl Harbor. Specific intelligence gaps. No intercepted message explicitly named Pearl Harbor as a target. Japan's attack fleet, led by Admiral I'm not even doing that. Yamamoto maintained strict radio silence, avoiding detection. The East Wind Rain code phrase intercepted in early December suggested an attack but lacked specifics on location. A 14-part Japanese message intercepted on December 6th and 7th, 1941, indicated a diplomatic break, but was not fully decoded until after the attack began. So they had missed signals. The ONI and SIS underestimated Japan's naval reach, assuming Pearl Harbor was too distant, over 3,000 miles from Japan, for a major strike. Local commanders at Pearl Harbor, Admiral Husband Kimmel and General Walter Short, received intelligence but prioritized training over defense, leaving ships and aircraft vulnerable. And a radar detection of incoming planes at 7:02 a.m. on December 7th was dismissed as expected U.S. B-17s as a critical error. I did not know about that one. And then I've got conspiracy theories, which has.
I want to say that like Grok is not. Maybe it's just that it's considered conspiracy, because I was pretty sure there was a little bit more that they knew other than they were going to break diplomatic ties.
So it says claims. Books like Day of Deceit, 1999 by Robert Stinnett, argued that the ONI intercepted Japanese naval codes revealing the attack plan, but FDR and top officials suppressed this to galvanize public support. 80% of Americans were isolationists in 1940. Makes sense. McCollum memo. In a 1940 ONI memo by Lieutenant Commander Arthur McCollum suggested provocations to push Japan into war. Cited by conspiracy theorists as evidence of a setup, historians view it as a routine strategic proposal, not a blueprint for Pearl Harbor. Lack of evidence. 9 official investigations, including the 1946 Joint Congressional Committee, found no proof of suppressed intelligence. Over 10,000 pages of declassified Magic intercepts and naval records showed no specific mention of Pearl Harbor.
Joint Congressional Committee investigates the assassination of the John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and they came up with Lee Harvey Oswald did it.
So they're corrupt.
Didn't they investigate the September 11th bombing of the World Trade Center and the whole 9/11 thing? And
so basically, they're a propaganda machine.
That's what I'm saying.
That if we place our faith in the ability of Congress to arrive at the truth, we're kidding ourselves, because there's too much money in Washington, D.C., and money is the mother's milk of politics. So if people are subject to collecting cash as their primary goal in life, you're not going to accomplish anything. They should have found a bunch of friars someplace, in a monastery, and said, "Here's the evidence. Tell us what you think."
Just so you guys know, the article up top has the space making it so no one can scroll up and down. It has to be quote posted and then re-put up there.
I can see everybody.
Yeah, sometimes
I
it gets stuck.
can't.
So, Sally, what you have to do is if you put your finger like at the very bottom of the bubbles and kind of hold it, and then it'll release and it'll let you scroll up again.
All right, I've tried that. That's fine. I'll just look at a blank screen.
Or you can hop out, and when you come back in, before you hit to get into the room, pull the bubbles all the way up so you're at the very bottom of the PFPs.
All right, I'll try that. Or someone could quote post that. Oh, let me try that.
Oh, is it the last post or what?
Yeah, it's just they're all big.
Well, the FAFO Act is not that big, is it?
No, the article is the image, Chris. I put up, if you go out there and that way you click on that, you go direct to the article.
All right, well, I can take it down.
Nope, it worked. No, I came back and left already. It's good.
See?
It worked. I just scrolled all the way to the bottom.
Now you learned a new trick.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I see Thinker down there.
I don't know. The other thing I learned recently was like the whole Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh, what's up with that?
That was totally Bill and Hillary Clinton.
No, really?
And it's the same people tied to Waco and Ruby Ridge, the same actors.
All right, explain. Give us the connections.
So I want to say, Sally, do you remember what it was? So Bill and Hillary were supposed to be like, I don't know, there was some files in there or something.
There was files at a certain spot where that bombing just happened. Go boom. Yep.
And they were supposed to be like entered into court right afterwards or shortly afterwards. And then the Oklahoma City bombing happened and no more records.
So that had to do with Ruby Ridge.
The same people who just happened to be there, which were, I'm assuming, CIA assets, just happened to be part of Ruby Ridge, Waco connected to Oklahoma City. I'll have to find. I actually covered this. I'll have to go back and find my notes. It's actually quite fast. The connections are crazy wild. I can't remember their names.
Well, and the fact that like Timothy McVeigh may or may not, have a lot of lookalikes that walk around today. I don't know.
I mean, apparently the space shuttle astronauts that blew up have some lookalikes too.
They didn't blow up.
Seen that.
They went down the chute.
What? They went down the chute? So that was just a trauma.
Yeah. So apparently, before they got into entered the capsule, like Sally Ride and all them, there was another chute that sent them down into a fireproof area, and that did not explode. Well, no, it exploded, but
why would they do that? Why would they do that to the nation?
Yeah, there's this video that's floating around that shows every one of these people aged like.
Oh, I've seen it. It's spot on.
And I'm going, it's hard. It pains me that Ronald Reagan would go along with that.
Look at his VP. Don't blame him.
Because Reagan came out and addressed the nation, and he had such comforting words, and
but he might not necessarily have known.
Well,
they
that's
didn't
true
die.
too.
Right.
Think about how much they keep away, or they did keep away from President Trump during his last presidency.
Okay, don't act like that's not happening.
Yeah,
again. Nope.
that's true. They're trying.
There's apparently word on the street is there is a full on coup going on.
Oh, there is.
That is yet to be seen.
We saw it in 2020, right?
We're in a pickle.
why do you think that the Secretary of State is doubling as a national security advisor?
Because we're in a pickle.
No, because he doesn't want. He wants to tighten the circle because he knows Rubio is not going to screw him.
Does he?
I think so. Rubio's a pretty good guy.
He's a Bush guy.
I think Rubio's doing a decent job.
He's doing a decent job.
Even though I don't really like Rubio.
He's doing well.
And I have chased Rubio around like an entire like complex. He had to sneak out the back door. Okay, but still, I think he's doing a decent job at
And
this.
I think Rubio legitimately is a patriotic American.
It's that Cuban in him.
Yeah, his parents immigrated, and
So what was the other thing that you had said? Oh, the Oklahoma City bombing, because there was the documents were in there. Well, what was Waco and Ruby Ridge for? Just to traumatize us?
I saw this random video. Where was Waco? Okay, is it?
It was Waco, Texas, is a direct link. Everything that happened from Ruby Ridge and Waco was because they were getting defunded after Ruby Ridge, and so they had to go after someone. So they were going after this group of people who fled their community because they wanted to homeschool their children. They didn't want the government teaching their kids, and I wonder why. So anyway, they just targeted this community.
So they vilified David Koresh?
Correct. He was not what they said that he was. And the same actor that was part of Oklahoma City bombing was also in Waco. So I'll have to find the tie there. And there was the same ATF agents in both Waco and Ruby Ridge. And I thought Oklahoma. So I'll have to go find the names because the names are the people that tie it together.
well, Waco was what, the Branch Davidians. And
Correct. They made it out to be something that what it really wasn't. They just didn't want the government involved in their lives.
And Ruby Ridge, that was just cold-blooded murder.
Dude, that
both
was
were cold-blooded
fucked up.
murder. Our in Waco, our government had tanks in there blowing up people.
Yeah, but wasn't Ruby Ridge? They were completely
No, they
unarmed.
were armed, but they shot an unarmed woman with holding a baby in her hands.
That's what it was. Shot an unarmed woman.
She was holding a baby in her arms, and they shot her when she's standing in the doorway.
Yeah, but look what they did to poor Lavoy Finnegan. Do you remember that when the boys, who the hell are the freaking Nevada guys? Gosh darn it.
Oh,
the guys with the cows that were grazing.
Yeah.
I almost had it right then.
Yeah, but so Lavoy and them, so Lavoy was down in Nevada at that standoff, right? And then they went up to Oregon at the wildlife refuge, and Lavoy Finnegan had a kid in the car and a woman. He got out of the car, right? Because they like trapped them on this road. He gets out of the car with his hands in the air and starts walking towards the cops with